I thank you, everybody. I welcome all whoever joined, and I think some may be joining later. Today, I am participating in the webinar uh, series, Engineering Ethics and Responsibility of Professionals. In fact, this is new course for us. Even late 70, who you are a student of engineering university, Kuwait, and even late 80, who didn't have any course like this. Even till today, you won't find in most of the universities of Bangladesh, there is no course regarding engineering ethics. In fact, we have learned science, technology, maths, engineering and maths in the engineering universities or colleges. And at that time, computer was not there, no information technology. Now it is being everywhere. We study science, natural science, physics, chemistry, maths, and engineering and technology. Actually, actually engineering is the creative application of science, scientific principles with technology and science background, science knowledge. And then after our graduation, what we do? We go for design or develop any system, structure, or machine, or apparatus, or manufacture, and different processes of works. We go for operation maintenance, and so on. Now, with these activities, actually, we interact with the environment, we interact with the life, property, health, and safety of the people, safety of the welfare of the public and environment as well. Now, that is why we need, as we are interacting with because the life of the people, property, health, safety, welfare of the public and environment, everything is affected. And that is why in due course of time, it has happened that in the Western universities, particularly American university, in late 70, some professors started thinking that because they are also practicing engineer as well as they are professor and teachers, they found that engineers are facing with the ethical problems. And that is why they have started engineering ethics in the late 80s. And afterwards, your ABET, Accreditation Board for Engineering Technology, ABET also requested the universities to have some courses on engineering ethics. Now, when you go for engineering ethics, we need to know actually the real basic theories or how it has derived. Because the ethics is the concept, broad consideration of social conscience. So this is the social conscience. And from the beginning, when our Lord, our Creator, Almighty Allah has created us, Adam and Hawa, when He created them, since from them, when they breach their trust, when they were asked to not to eat some fruit, some fruit of the tree, but they when Shaitan Iblis, what due to instigation of Iblis, they ate the fruit, and Allah, what Allah did, Allah sent them back because they broke the trust. Allah told them, you keep the promise that you don't eat this. Since then, we can see that the ethics started. Then afterwards, you'll find all Allah has sent prophets and you see the messengers. And every time he was telling that to fulfill the good works, bad work, and avoid the bad works. That is ethics. Actually, in fact, as we say, ethics, ethics means morals, beliefs, integrity, principles, conscience, sense of right or wrong. So this is what we are now thinking, that it is really essential from engineering point of view, because when we do any engineering works, we need to think right or wrong. We need to think what to do, what we should not do, what we should do, what we should do. And now that is why we need to go to deep the theory of ethics, or how engineering ethics are derived. Now, you see, Greek, this ethics word derived from the Greek word ethos. Greek word ethos. Ethos, what ethos means? Ethos means custom. Ethos means common morality. Ethos means habit, character, and discipline. Concerned with morality, good, bad, right or wrong. And the philosophers, actually, in fact, the philosophers, they were really studying ethics. Socrates in 470 BC, his followers Plato 428 BC, and Aristotle around 400 BC. They studied ethics, right or wrong, good or bad, these things. This is the main issue. See, you just see, before Christ, around 470, the philosophers, great thinkers, Socrates, Aristotle, Plato, they were thinking, they were studying, and they were propagating this thing, that you go for right thing, you go for wrong. We do not go for wrong. And this is where so many philosophers, professors, they were studying. And also it came around about right ethics. Right, one thing, one right or wrong, that is what we feel, good or bad. But something, as we see, right means in Bengali we say odhikar, and the duty, কর্তব্য, দায়-দায়িত্ব. Then some philosophers, they were telling that, they were thinking that right, this is also ethics. Duty, this is also ethics. Responsibility, this is also ethics. And some are also thinking that utilitarianism, that means we should think for good. We should think for the good, most good. And one of the professor, he was telling that when a woman becomes pregnant, she delivers a child, the happiness she gets, the people, the man, will do most of the goods for the people, and he will also feel like that. He will feel like, he will be happy like that. And another, some are also, even you see Socrates, Plato, Aristotle, they are also telling about the virtue. These are the elements of ethics, actually. In fact, these are the elements of ethics, and the professors were there defined that it is a moral science of human behavior, conduct, right, wrong, good, bad, good deeds, bad deeds, evils. These are things like this. You do hear it properly? Because this is a course, you need to know actually, in fact, how it is derived, and then how engineering it is derived. and the source of the ethics. Because if we understand the main theory of ethics, then it will be easier for us to understand why we should act ethically in our professions. Because first of all, we have to understand really what it means. Because the source of ethics, first I have told you that since Almighty Allah sent created us, so He created us and sent messengers and prophets telling that we should do good things and avoid bad things. We should do what are the right and we should avoid what are the wrong, and we should refrain from doing wrong things. And even you see, Buddha, he also uh, he also asked people. He has 8 principles, ethical principles: right view, right intention, right speech, right conduct, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right teaching, right determination. Moses, Jesus, they also taught like this. Even Islam, in Quran and Hadith, you will find all the times Allah says, you do good things and refrain from bad things. And it also comes from culture and human conscience and consciousness. And it has also, in this way, we see Institute of Engineers, IEEE, American Society of Civil Engineers, Institute of Civil Engineers, UK, they also they also found that after several accidents, several disasters, several structure failure, engineers thought that we should do regarding these things. We should organize our engineers so that they follow some code of conduct. In this way, engineering ethics has come. So what we see, ethics is the study of right, wrong, good, bad, truth, falsehood, duty, obligations, right, virtues, moral issues, dilemmas, conflicting, and moral problems and moral judgments associated with our activities. When we do work, we have to think what is right, what is wrong, what is good and what is bad, what is really truth and what is falsehood, and what is our duty and what is our obligation, what is our rights and virtues, and what are the moral issues. And sometimes there will be, you will find some moral dilemmas, and you will have to solve problems regarding the moral dilemmas, moral judgment associated with our activities. Now, that is why we say engineering ethics is the field of system of moral principles that apply to practice of engineering and the professional body of engineering profession. Professional body of engineering profession, such as Institute of Engineers or Council of Engineers, frame code of ethics to comply and follow these codes of ethics as responsibilities and obligation in discharging professional duties and responsibilities. Thus, engineers are required to comply and follow moral principles of code of ethics of what morally, ethically ought to be done or morally or ethically ought not to be done by us. We are engineers. In a given situation, we must see what is right or what is wrong about handling our works. So, we are responsible for professionalism and we focus on good of the clients and the stakeholders. We have to work with a lot of stakeholders, our boss, our clients, our supervisors, contractors, our suppliers, and even public. Even sometimes when you go to a project, sometimes some neighbors, some social people also come forward. And you need to motivate them. You need to do You need to behave with them so that they really cooperate with you, and you make them understand that you will not, your work will not hamper them, and it will not go against the public, and you will care for promoting public safety, health, and welfare. And in this way, this is where actually ethics, the story of ethics, or what you can say, the roots of ethics, engineering ethics. Now, let me tell you about a story of African fable, four friends. And why I'm telling this story? Because really, we are fighting with the goods and evils. We are fighting with the Iman and Iblis, truth and uh, falsehood. So there are four friends, one named truth, one named falsehood, one named water, and one named fire. They were traveling, and together they found four cattle. Then they decided to share them. But falsehood, you know, as the name falsehood, we are telling that we always avoid the falsehood. But you cannot you cannot help him out, because he's always, the falsehood is always with us in our works, in the society. That is, you see, we can say, when Habil and Kabil was born, and then they became bigger, and then they have a sister, and it was decided that Habil will get it, and Kabil will be buck, and then Kabil killed him. You see, in this is the way, actually, in fact, the falsehood and evils always against us. So now, here, falsehood was telling fire, telling water, as you see, among us, fire is very bad. He will fire us, fire three of us, then he will take all the cattle. Then water said, is it okay? It is right? Yes, we will do it. Then what did water? So water makes fire off. Fire. So now there are three: for truth, falsehood, and wind, water. Now they were going to uphill in the nearby, but water said, I cannot go up, because I always go down. Then, oh my friend, we cannot take you. So he was going with the truth. Now falsehood was telling, I shall kill you, man, I shall take everything. So this is the African fable. What we see, that it is everywhere. People in all over the world, from primitive age, we find that everybody was thinking good thing or bad thing. So falsehood, and still today we are fighting. Truth is fighting with the falsehood. Iman is fighting with the Iblis, Shaitan. And that is the way we are always fighting with the bad things. We are always fighting with the evils. Now, that we should understand. That is the thing we should realize, that this is the ethics. Now, as we follow ethics, we should follow, and we shall be following, because this is required, this is essential, prerequisite for any body, and even for engineers. It is very much, because you are a man of learned society. If you see doctors and engineers, the people who read engineering and who read medicine, they are the people who deals with the public, deals with the works for the society. And that is why you get the prestige, you get the honor from the society. But when a doctor who does any wrong, it will be mostly one or two men will be either fatally killed or injured. But for an engineer, if you do any mistake, if you do any bad job, then what you do? Your lot of people will be killed, property will be destroyed, and lot of people will. Um, that is why engineers are they are very concerned, very much concerned with the ethics. They should be very much concerned with the ethics. Now, what we are doing from our family background, we are maintaining our ethics. We just as a principle, but we do not know really what ethics has given us. That is why there are some theory, ethics theory. The philosophers like Jeremy Bentham, John Stuart Mill, Emmanuel Kant, Karl Marx, Bernard Russell, Mackenzie, William Lilly, J.S. Moorhead, they studied ethics, research, they have devised some theories. One theory, there are 5 theories. Right theories of right ethics, duty ethics, utilitarianism ethics, virtue ethics, and self-realization ethics. 5 ethics. Now, you have read Maslow hierarchy needs in management. There are 5 hierarchy needs of management. We have seen that anybody has got some, or for a man, he has 5 needs. First, he has physiological needs, then he has safety needs, or what you can say, shelter needs. Then he has social needs. Then he has esteem needs. And then self-realization needs, self-actualization. That means for a man, you must first fulfill your hunger. Then you get a house, shelter. Then you need some social. Then you need some recognition. Then those who are really do their best, give their best, they went for higher actualization. See, similarly, ethical theory is also like this. First, right theories, right ethics. And right ethics always have duty. When we tell about right, we also take that every right has a duty. Now, in the constitution, in most of the countries, you get the constitution, and there are fundamental rights. And this is a barrier. These rights give you some barrier, because you need to fulfill their rights. That means you have some duty to respect rights of others. Now, that is where you see, when you get an engineering job, you need to respect the others, those you are working with, or those you will work for them. And then you will have to do duty, you will have some duty. And these 5 theories, we must understand actually. In fact, that is what I was telling, that before we go for our responsibilities and duties as an engineer, if we understand What is right ethics and what is duty ethics? What is utilitarianism and what are the virtue ethics? Four. And then last one is the top one. That means, first of all, we must see what are the right ethics. Right ethics, when we born, we get some natural right. And then we get human fundamental rights from our government. And also we get human rights. But we are not talking about all these rights. We shall talk about our engineering rights, engineering duties, and virtues which we need for our own work, for our engineering works. So I think you must understand what is right ethics. Right ethics, mirror of duty ethics. People have rights that cannot be violated. Engineers are required to respect the rights of all stakeholders, such as employer, employee, client, customers, contractor, supplier, vendor, supervisor, and all concerned, those are related to his works and activities. We ought to respect natural rights and human rights and respect for person. Respect for person, moral standard requires not only that we treat people equally, but that we respect them as normal moral people. Moral issues. Many theorists in the respect for personal tradition have concluded that respecting moral of others requires that we accord others right necessary to exercise theirs. A right may be understood as an entitlement. Right, in Bengali we say adhikar. Right always is a entitlement. Entitlement. You must understand this. To act or have another individual act in a certain way. Rights serve as a protective barrier, shielding individuals from unjustified infringement of their moral agency by others. Beyond this, rights are sometimes asserted more positively as requiring the provision of food, clothing, education in this. Now you see, when we say we have right to survive, we have to have food, our shelter, as I have already told you that man have 5 needs. First of all, really he has right for when he does any work. He will work for his food first. Then he will work for shelter. Then he will work for social needs, to fulfill social needs. Then he'll need some honor, promotion, recognition. So these are the rights. When he works, these are the rights for him. So that is, we can say, right to life, right to be safe. When we do any work, we'll have to think that your worker have occupational safety. This is the right. He needs his life to be saved. His body to be, his integrity, right to be bodily integrity, mental integrity. He has right to free work, free action. He has right to free speech. He has right to not to be he has right to be not to be deceived. He has right to be not to be cheated, not to be disrespected, and he has right to keep promise, right to have privacy, right to have property. Now, in this way, now we think about right ethics thus applies in our engineering in many ways. It provides a powerful foundation for the special ethical requirements in engineering and other professions. Most engineering courses and ethics enjoin holding paramount the safety, health, and welfare of public. This requirement cannot be integrated as having respect for public's right to privacy and rights to receive benefits through fair, honest exchange in a free marketplace. Now a man has a right to be safe, healthy, and have welfare, and you cannot do anything that goes against their interest. Engineers are required to respect the rights of all stakeholders, such as employer, employee, client, customer, contractor, supplier, vendor, supervisor, and all concerned. Those are related with the works activities. Now we can understand. Really, we can understand that everybody who are associated with us, all the stakeholders, they have the right to be respect, to get the respect, honor from an engineer working with the any place or work with the project. Now, in this way, we understand the duty, right ethics. So that is what I mean that if we would have studied these things, then it would be more clear regarding our position. That when you get a job, then you have right to work there. You have right to act as an engineer. Similarly, those who appoint you, he has right to get the work done from you. In this way, you just see, just correlate all these things, that we born with some right, natural rights. Then when we now we are working with the engineers, lot of worker, lot of engineers, lot of people working with us, team. So we need to respect the good team. We need to respect the good worker. We need to respect our neighbors who are helping us in our fulfilling our job, fulfilling our activities. So we are now we can we can have some understanding regarding the right ethics for engineers. And then we go to next, duty ethics. Duty ethics, what is ethical to perform duties, regardless of whether they lead to good outcomes or bad outcomes. You see, when you see where your duty is doing something, you have objectives, targets. Now, fulfilling the duties, your outcome, you may fulfill to get the desired objectives or may not, but you will have to do your duties. This is ethics. Now, I can tell you another thing. I'm giving you an example. When I went to Uganda in 1978, I got an appointment letter. It was indicated that you are appointed for 24 hours of duty. Then what I was really surprised to see that. Then I asked, why it is 24 hours of duty? He told me that this is your duty to have always with the university job. University, you will always think that you are always with the work of, though it is 8 hours work, you will be for the whole, this is your duty ethics. Just you see. And that is why when we see our parents, our father, when they were doing government jobs during British period and Pakistan period, they used to write, your most obedient servant. That means when you are bound with the duties and will have to do everything ethically. But these days are gone now. We are now mostly, these days we can do some with the permission. Previously, there was no even permission to anything without your permission, without there was no permission, but you'll have to do all the time the job of the government or whatever agency you are appointed. Now, these things, what I why I'm telling you that when you feel that doing anything outside or getting outside employment or other than this job, this is also you are not fulfilling duties. And other than this, duty ethics, when you do any design, you will have to do a safe design, because engineers have duty, responsibility, obligation to society, uphold standard and professional quality. So your duty to be to design develop a safe design, and you assess the risk and protection of public health, safety, welfare while executing engineering activities works. In a construction job or project, you will have to you have duty to see that public safety protected, risks are assessed, and you need to do some quality assurance, quality control, lot of things. All these things come under duty ethics. Duty ethics, we ought to respect individual rational autonomy, and you have duty to respect others. You have duty to not to take advantage from others. You have duty not to kill, not to cause bodily harm, not to cause mental harm, not to coerce. You have duty not to prevent anybody from speaking truth, not to deceive. You have duty not to deceive anything, not to cheat, not to steal, not to disrespect, not to break promises, not to deny any opportunities. And you have duty not to bar opportunities for any your client, for your any worker, and therefore we have duty and responsibility and obligation to uphold standard, professional quality, safe design, assessment of risk, protection of public health, safety, welfare while executing our engineering activities, demonstrate professional competence, maintain objectivity, truthfulness, address conflicts of interest, act as a faithful agent and trustee, preserve confidentiality, not to receive and provide gifts and valuable consideration, not to deceive, not to disrespect, not to cheat, not to break our promise, and not to break any commitment. You will have to be committed to do all the goods and refrain from the bads, and you will be you will have duty, have a good design, good construction work, good supervision work, and good building design, good structure design. And for that, you need to do design, we need to follow the guidelines, rules, regulation, and codes. You see, when we studied in 70s or 80s, we didn't have any codes or standards. Even in Bangladesh, we didn't have any code and standard. And after lot of efforts in 1993, we shall talk this later on. In 1993, we have a code, Bangladesh National Building Code. However, the other countries, they have code, they have standards, and we used to follow them. Now, we have another ethics, utilitarianism. Utilitarianism ethics, that is what is good we must do the best thing, good thing. We promote greatest number of greatest good for the greatest number. This framework says that you will also always think for the good things, always do as much as you can do better things. Most good for most body, most good. You produce the most good and you achieve best consequences. And then you get best feelings, best happiness, better understanding, better. It is another kind of utilitarianism ethics that you do right ethics, duty ethics, and then what sometimes if you do better job, you think that work, the good work, you will always do good work. You will always do best work, and you will feel that you should you should continue so that you go to the highest level of your performance. This is utilitarianism ethics. As we said, there are some when for our personal feelings, we do first, we get first when we can fulfill our hungry, then we go for shelter, and then we go for social, and then we go for recognition, and then we go for something else. What we say, the best position in the society. So similarly, those who do ethics, follow ethics, they go for best thing, best working model, so that they go up to the your final stage of their performance. And with these things, you need virtues, virtue ethics. That is, we know the virtues. Buddha, he said 8 virtues. We have seen it. There were 8 virtues. What are these? Right views, right intention, right speech, right conduct, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right teaching, right determination. In Bangla, we say সৎ ধারণা, সৎ দর্শন, সৎ মনোভাব, সৎ ইচ্ছা, সৎ বাক্য, সৎ কর্ম, সৎ জীবিকা, সৎ প্রচেষ্টা, সৎ শিক্ষা, honesty, সততা. These are all virtues. And there are also some vices. Virtues and vices. Virtues are desirable habits in action, commitment, motive, attitude, emotion, ways of reasoning, and ways of relating to others. For example, professional competence, honesty, courage, fairness, loyalty, humility, public well-being, cooperative practices, personal integrity, courage, self-discipline, perseverance, conscientiousness, and self-respect. These are virtues. And vices, incompetence, dishonesty, cowardice, unfairness, disloyalty, arrogance, lust, anger, greed, delusion, envy, disobedience, jealousy. Now you can just see that for an engineer, he must have a professional competence. He must have honest. He must be honest. He should be high level of honesty. He should be a courageous man. He is loyal. He public. He is polite. He is cooperative. His personal integrity, courage, self-discipline, and self-respectness. All these are virtue ethics. So, for our engineering side, when you go to work, the man is not competent, you cannot do any good work with you. If he is not honest, you cannot trust him. You cannot get any good work. You cannot rely him. So that is why the virtue ethics. Now what I am saying that is why if we go through all these things, the theories of ethics, these are, you can take it in every sphere of life. In your natural life, your working life, whatever. These virtue ethics, what we said before, duty ethics, right ethics, duty ethics, and then some who goes for the perfectionist. This type of people they will go for utilitarianism ethics. And above all, everybody will require these virtue ethics. And these virtues, if you do not have virtues like competency, like honesty, like courage, fairness, humility, loyalty, and cooperativeness, self-discipline, and self-respect, you as an engineer, you cannot be successful. We cannot get cooperation from others. If we have these qualities, these virtues, then you can get a good teamwork. Everybody will rely you. You will have confidence, and they will rely on you. You will also can rely them, and you get good works, and you can accomplish your job or your project in time. But the worker, even if you as an engineer, you may be a good engineer. You may be an engineer, good engineer, cannot say. You may be an engineer, but if you do not have these characters, these virtues, you cannot do any good job. And we cannot get any better job from you as an engineer. You cannot create. You cannot fulfill any promise, or you cannot fulfill any targets or objectives. That is why the competency, honesty, courage, fairness, loyalty, humility, these are very much essential. And we always refrain from incompetency, dishonesty, cowardice, unfairness, disloyalty, arrogance, lust, anger, greed, delusion, envy, disobedience, jealousy, etc. An engineer is essentially required to control all the vices and promote values, virtues. That means now, from here we see an engineer essentially required to control all the vices and promote virtues. The Greek word translate as either virtue or of excellence. Virtue of excellence. All engineers should have virtue of excellence. And if you have a virtue of excellence, you will not compromise with any substandard work, substandard material, substandard quality. And most comprehensive virtue of engineer is responsible professionalism. Most comprehensive virtue of engineer is responsible professionalism. So most basic and comprehensive professional virtue is professional responsibility. Professional responsibility. First of all, the comprehensive virtue of engineer is responsible professionalism, and then comprehensive professionalism virtue is professional responsibility. That is, being morally responsible as a professional. Professional responsibility is an umbrella virtue. Professional responsibility is an umbrella virtue. That is public well-being, professional competence, cooperative practice, personal integrity. You must bear all these elements of professional responsibility. If you are not competent, if you are not cooperative with all stakeholders, if you do not have any personal integrity, then you cannot do better job. Public spirited values are focused on the good clients and wider public. And this will, you will have a public spirited virtues also, because you have a lot of stakeholders. You need to work with employer, your employees, stakeholders, clients, and contractors, vendors, suppliers, even social people, neighbors, others. So you must have good virtues. Minimum virtue is non-malfeasance. That means you cannot do bad, harm to any people or anything, any work. This is the lowest virtue. Always remember, a good man with a good virtue, he cannot do any harm to anybody. You should not have any tendency to harm anybody. And you will always promote public health, safety, welfare. And then you will also have a proficiency virtue. Proficiency virtue. You see, we are not proficient in communications. This is also one virtue, that as an engineer, you must have a fluency in communication or proficiency in work in communication, so that there is no confusion or misunderstanding. If you cannot communicate properly, if you cannot proficient in your work, then it is always there will be misunderstanding, and you cannot get good work from them. And teamwork, another virtue. Teamwork virtues, you need to know how to develop a team, how to manage a team. Even, some of people, some of engineers, who do not know what does team mean. What does team mean? What is the meaning of team? We say, I'm a team member, we develop team, but we don't know the meaning of team. Team is together everyone achieve more. TEAM. Together, everyone achieve more. And this is a good virtue. And we must develop this virtue, team virtue, to develop a team, maintain a team. So your team members always have confidence on you, rely on you, and they will give their utmost of their level, utmost level. They will help you. They will give the best. And if you cannot develop a team, then you do not get a good job. Another one is collegiality. Collegiality means you must have a cooperation with your teamwork, your colleagues, and you will have to cooperativeness, loyal, and respect to others, your boss. This means collegiality. Collegiality means, this is also another virtue, that you will have a good relationship with everybody. You care for everybody. This is also, this what is called collegiality. You may not hear this word, but this collegiality also a good virtue. That means you will be cooperate with everyone, every team, and you as engineering, as in engineering, we do lot of your multidisciplinary work, and you need to cooperate with all discipline all members of the your stakeholders and others. So that means you must have a good understanding, good relationship with everybody. Finally, self-governance virtues are those necessary in accessing moral spirit. That means self-governance means you must have a courage, self-discipline, perseverance, and consensus, and self-respect and integrity. Honesty, another thing is honesty. Honesty falls into both groups of self-governance values, and honesty as a virtue. Honesty as a virtue, we shall talk this later on after self-realization ethics. Now, self-realization ethics means that you perform up to the highest level. Always think that I shall do best of. You will always. So those who are self-realization ethics means those who has this quality, he always go for the highest level of ethics. But if we at least we can go with the duty ethics, right ethics, duty ethics, and virtue ethics. Even this will do. And in virtue ethics, there is one thing is honesty. Honesty as a virtue. Honesty as a virtue, honesty is a very important issue in our activities, engineering activities. As I have already told you, the African fable, the honesty is always fighting with the what? Honesty is fighting with the falsehood. And everywhere, this is true. So, honesty, virtue, you must develop this honesty. And never allow any dishonesty or falsehood. In engineering job, this is the foremost duty. You have foremost duty because the corruption, corrupt practice, fraudulent practice, collusive practice, these are all falsehood practice. And if you are not honest, if you are not trustworthy, then these vices of corruption, corrupt practices, fraudulent practices, collusive practices will eat you. Honesty has two aspects. One aspect we call truthfulness, and another aspect trustworthiness. You must be truthful. You must be true in your activities. You speak honestly. You talk honestly. You do honest work. Your honesty in belief. Honesty in your activities. Honesty, your truth telling, truthfulness. Not engaging in bribes, kickbacks, honesty in speech, not deceiving, not lying, not withholding any information that someone has the right to know. Honesty is the belief, intellectual honesty means forming one's belief without self-deception. Other forms of reading unpleasant truths. Now, trustworthiness. You must be trustworthy because when you are employed, your employer, you are the trustee of your employer. You are custodian. You become the custodian of your employer or the project. So now it is your ethical duty to be honest, to be trustworthy. And another thing that report writing, false report data, honest, dishonest act, omitting crucial data, and your false design, bad design, these are also dishonest activity. Motto of professional responsibility means engineers are concerned to do the right things, are conscientious, diligent in meeting obligation, are truthful, fair, accountable, answerable, and liable for meeting particular obligation. An engineer, who is the engineer, are always trustworthy. We are truthful, we are trustworthy, and we meet our obligation as a trustworthy, truthful engineer, fair, accountable, and as we are answerable and liable for our job, for our activities. Sometimes there are maybe some moral dilemma, ethical dilemma doing works. And you, as an engineer, will have to also evaluate the position. And then you will have to decide what things you should do or what things you should not do. So in this way, we learn something about ethics, which we can relate with our engineering works. Now we go for the building codes. We go for our next slides. How this building codes brief history of codes and engineering ethics. Now you see, history of codes is long back, long history. Professional codes have a long history. I was, as I told you, that during 70s, late 70s and early 80s, we had our engineering courses. I never heard about course and standards. But when I went to abroad in 1978, first I joined as a lecturer, and then I was an electrical engineer, so that allowed me to taught electrical engineering, IE course, electrical course, IEEE. Instead of electrical engineers UK code, they have a code. And when I returned, after 3 years, I went to a UN project in Central America. There I used to have nationality code USA, NEC. So when I came back, I was working with institute engineers regarding codes and standards. So one day, my daughter, who was at that time during 95, 96, she was in class 6 in an English medium school. She told me that, Abu, do you know when first code was declared, decreed? I told her, no, I haven't heard. She was telling me that in their history books, it is written that King Hammurabi's building code was the first code in the world. I was ashamed and surprised to know that. And from then, really, I was eager for codes and standards. So the brief history from just regarding the brief history of building code. So we must know the King Hammurabi's building code. When you go for ethics, code of ethics, engineering ethics, you will find it is mentioned in the ethics book. That building code was first credited to King Hammurabi in Mesopotamia, uh, in the bank of Dajla Furat River in Iraq. About 3779, 3779 years ago from today. 3779. Just note that. You should note that, because when you study any engineering ethics or course, the first code in the world, in the universe, we must know it. So I would request you, all of you, that regarding the course and engineering ethics, building course particularly, as we are now, everybody, and even this webinar is regarding on the issues of BNBC, Bangladesh National Building Code. So just you write 3779, 3779 years ago, the King Hammurabi Building Code was decreed. And you know, everywhere there is some incident out of which we have codes, we have ethics, we have rules and regulations. Nothing came out without happening anything, without any incident. There was nothing like any code or any ethics. During that time, a house was collapsed. And then the man who has suffered or victim, he went to the king. Then the king made a decree that a builder could be executed if a house he built collapsed, resulting in the death of any person. In one form or another, building codes have been around since Hammurabi's time. It was decreed like this, that if anybody is killed, then the man who designed it, who built it, he will be killed. If he is hurt, he will be hurt. And then you will find lot of codes, building codes. Even in USA, most of your countries, even, they have building codes. They have building codes. First, a building codes is a set of rules, specified standards for construction and structure, for construction and structures, buildings, etc. In UK also, when there was a fire, in 1666, they developed building code. It was building regulation. After Great Fire of London in 1666, UK, they enacted Building Act, building regulation. In USA, City Baltimore passed its first building code in 1859. City Baltimore passed its first building code in 1859. And afterwards, all the counties and big cities, they had their own codes, building codes. In France, 1852, in Paris, under Second Empire, then they have building codes. And in Bangladesh, in 1993, Bangladesh Building Code was elected. It was uh, edited by Institute of Engineers and National Housing. But since then, until 2004, it was not used by the government. When Spectra was failed, structure fall, then government realized that there should be some code, and then BNBC was enacted as building code. After that, you see, we didn't have amended one till 2020. By this time, we were used to work with the 2006 one, and then draft code was there. And finally, in 2020, it is now amended, and we have 2020 building code. Now, code of ethics. How this code of ethics come from? And this, we know the industrial revolution in UK or Europe. In 1760, it started from 760 to 1840, 1840. This time, there were technological change, socio-economic change, cultural change, and go for industrial revolution. In our country, industrial revolution is still going on. We are lagging behind so much because still we do not have any code of ethics in our universities for students. This concept actually came from medical doctor. Medical doctor in 1794, English physician Thomas Percival published influential pamphlet regarding code of ethics, medical jurisprudence. In fact, medical jurisprudence, it is their duty to take care and negligence. Actually, in fact, medical doctor, they have duty to take care, and they have to take care of the negligence. But for engineers, you need to take care of everything. Doctor, if the doctor do not take care properly or any negligence, one man can die. But for engineer, lot of people may die, property may damaged or lost or destroyed, so many things. However, in 1794, the professor Thomas, English physician, he made an article regarding code of ethics, and then as American Association, Medical Association, they had own course in 1847. After 50 years of his writings, the American Medical Association, they have their own code of ethics. And after that, the American journalists, they have their code. Police have they have their own code. And a lot of other professions, they have their own code. But the American National Society of Professional Engineers, they also then they have their own code. Now, there are a lot of structural failures, disasters. During 1800, that is 19th century, and beginning of the 20th century, there are a lot of structural failures. And among them, 7 structural failures were very they are renowned structural failures. One is Yarmouth Bridge, UK, 1845. 79 people died. Angers Bridge, France, 1850, 226 killed. The Ashtabula River Railroad disaster, USA, 1876, 92 killed, 64 injured. Tay Bridge disaster, UK, 1879, 75 killed. Bassey Bridge disaster, USA, 1887, 38 killed, 40 injured. Point Hills Bridge, Canada, 1896, 55 killed. And then in 1907, Quebec Bridge collapsed. In 1907, 75 killed, 11 injured. These have profound effect on engineers and forced the profession confront shortcomings in technical and construction practice as well as ethical standards, which led the formation of engineering societies. And then engineering societies were formed in the United States. Growing professionalism gave the rise to the development of 4 founding engineering societies. In 1851, American Society of Civil Engineers, American Institute of Electrical Engineers. In 1884, American Society of Mechanical Engineers, 1880, American Institute of Mining Engineers, 1871, Geological Society of America, 1888, the American Society of Heating Ventilation Engineers, 1894, Professional Engineering Institution in the UK in 1818, with the formation of Institution of Civil Engineers, and then IEEE, Institute of Electrical Engineers, formed in 1871. The Indian Institute of Canada, 1887. Japan Society of Civil Engineers in 1914. And German Institute of Joyous Engineers, English Association of German Engineers, was set in 1856. This is the way the Institute of Engineers Institute societies are developed, and they thought about code of ethics, because there are a lot of structures were failed due to bad design, bad construction practices, and so many things. That is why they have decided to, and out of 4 societies, 3 of them decided to develop a formal course of ethics. Development of professional engineering concerns for professional practice and protecting the public highlighted by those bridge structure failures. National Society of Professional Engineers is released 1946, the Kernel of Ethics for Engineers and Rules of Professional Conduct. In 1946, National Society of Professional Engineers, NSP, released in 1946, its Canons of Ethics for Engineers and Rules of Professional Conduct. In fact, NSP engineers, ethics for engineers rules are now is the best one, and we are following this. And we have also in our country, in Bangladesh, we have also IE Code of Ethics. In the UK, Institute of Civil Engineers of Great Britain seems to have been the first in this respect. In 1910, they have Engineering Code of Ethics. Germany, they have in 1950. In France, in 1997, they have first Code of Ethics. And so, engineering ethics is the study of applied ethics and system of moral principles that apply to the practice of engineering. Ethics in engineering is the study of engineering morals, characteristics of morals, conduct of engineers as profession and individual as human beings. Engineering ethics, where ethics are implemented in engineering by the engineers, is necessary for the good of the society. Engineering ethics is the study of decisions, policies, and values that are morally desirable in engineering practice and research. Among the universal ethical values are honesty, integrity, promise-keeping, fidelity, fairness, respect for others, responsible citizenship, pursuit of excellence, accountability. It is the study of ethics which revolves around morality. Okay, I have finished my first part. Now I am going to for second part. It is okay now? Everybody has a hearing?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay.
Thank you, engineer.
Now,
Okay.
first part I have uh, described regarding the ethical theories and ethical considerations, how ethics came up. Now I am going professional responsibility and ethical obligations. Professional obligations and responsibilities. Now, a code of professional ethics results when a field organizes itself into profession. After passing our course of engineering and going to the profession, we, we are confronted with our activities, and we, we are and our engineering uh, courses, these links us with the practice. As I told in earlier, uh, that the engineers are concerned with the practical application of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, including computer, information technology. And while we are doing our practice of engineering activities, we design, construction, we do design, construction, supervision, maintenance, testing, manufacturing, etc. And while performing these activities, we evaluate, we judge, we take decisions, and these affect the property, health, safety, welfare of the public. And we need to have some ethical obligation, or primary obligation to the public, secondary obligation to the client, and tertiary obligation to other professionals and other stakeholders. As we have already discussed regarding the ethical theories, primary ethics, your duty ethics, right ethics, duty ethics, and virtue ethics. And in the code of ethics, first code, but everywhere, all the countries or the nations, what they have derived that we must we must promote our engineering community. We must promote ourselves, our integrity, our honor and dignity of our profession. And we have obligation to the public. We have obligation to employer and client, and we have obligation to other stakeholders. And for in this aspect, we have 8 principles. We have 8 principles impacting our professional obligations. Number one, upholding standard and professional quality. Number two, protecting the public health, safety, and welfare. Number three, demonstrating professional competence, maintaining objectivity, truthfulness, addressing conflict of interest, preserving confidentiality, receiving and providing valuable consideration, emerging areas of emerging areas, emerging challenges. Now, all these things we have mentioned are indicated in the theories of ethics. When we discussed about right ethics, we have also when we talked about duty ethics and virtue ethics. You will find all these things are related with these ethical theories. Upholding the standard of professional quality, first one. That is what I have told you just now. That we have responsibility to uphold our integrity, honor, dignity, and values of engineering profession. As an engineer, we if we cannot develop ourselves, we have duty. We have a duty to ourselves own selves. We have duty to own selves. We have duty to our profession. And we have to uphold, we must uphold integrity, honor, dignity, and values of our engineering profession. We are committed not to allow anything goes against the society and public interest. We have responsibility to maintain high standard of professional quality and fair treatment, loyalty, accountability to our employer, client, and customers. We have responsibility and obligation to maintain high standard of personal behavior in a responsible manner. Principle of informed consent, exercise responsibility in ethical manner. You know, sometimes when we do our work, we have our team. We do have our team. And we should behave with them responsibly. And whatever we do, we should inform. We should have informed consent. Without informed consent, we shouldn't do anything. There should be a principle of informed consent. And we exercise our responsibility in an ethical manner. That means what we do? We do our duty ethically. We do have our virtues, ethical virtues. We exercise our responsibility in an ethical way. We support professional and technical societies of engineering discipline. This is another important issue. Normally, our engineers, we do not really support our professional and technical society of engineering discipline. Just we become a member of the society. We come and try to be a member, and even we have a code of ethics. Instrument engineers have a code of ethics. Wherever you go, you will find everywhere all the Institute of Engineers have a code of ethics. And you become a member, you sign the code of ethics, but you may never know. You do not know even what you have signed. From my experience, I am telling you, I became, when I joined as in the Uganda, as a, first they asked me, what is your membership? After passing my degree, university, I was not a member of Institute of Engineers because I didn't know that. Most of our engineers, they did not know that one should be a member of the Institute of Engineers. But while I was in Uganda, I joined there, they asked me, where is your professional membership? Then I applied from Uganda to Institute of Engineers and became a member. And when I come back, I became a full member. I became a full fellow. I joined the institute. I became a committee member of membership committee. I found engineers sign the ethical code of ethics, but never read it. Never. So that is the one thing that our engineers, that is, I request to all the engineers that always you think this is the one thing that you must support your professional technical studies. You must give opportunities for engineers, support development of your engineers under supervision. This is also another thing. We do not find these things to our engineers. Our engineers do not support the junior engineers, but this is unethical. And it should be ethical if you support your engineers, if you make him learn, train him, mentor him. So that should be done. This is my request to our engineers in Bangladesh, that please support, provide opportunities, support your engineers so that they can develop themselves and they can replace your position. And number two, protecting the public's health, safety, and welfare. Now, protecting the public's health and safety and welfare. We shall elaborately describe when we go with the Institute of Engineers, Bangladesh Code of Ethics. Now you see, we always, for the protecting of public health, safety, welfare, we must abide by we must conform with the applicable standards and approve and sign the actual design authorized by, approved by designer. We must follow the drawings approved by the actual designer. And then it will be safe and this design will protect public health and safety welfare. And also we need to assess the risk for safety, health and welfare issues. We must assess the risk and try to mitigate risk. We design safe product, safe engineering, construction, and we do proper supervision, make quality control of product and engineering process and activities. And environmental sustainability, no harm to environment. No harm to environment. And in the next, before this, I would like to explain 3 examples regarding public safety, health and welfare. Regarding, first of all, we have mentioned in the bridge collapse in 1907 in Canada. When the bridge was nearly finished, southern cantilever span twisted and fell 46 meters into the St. Lawrence River. 75 workmen killed, 11 injured. An inquiry committee was established and they found that the main cause was faulty design, inadequate engineering supervision. You see, just in the number 2, we are telling about the protecting public health, safety and welfare. Protecting the public health, safety and welfare. Now, the design, if design is not proper and design is not authorized, engineer do not prepare it and sign it, then due to this faulty design and improper supervision, what happened? The cantilever span twisted and 75 workmen killed. So, the design engineer did not comply the code of conduct of ethics for upholding the paramount health, safety, welfare of the public, and engineers have duty to supervise properly as per code of conduct. As per ethical conduct, they should have done their duty properly. To maintain the right of others to save the lives. Responsibility to maintain high standard of professional quality. Responsibility for safe product design, safe engineering design. And now another example. In 1988, BNBC supermarket roof collapsed with 600 shoppers, 370 employees in Canada. BNBC supermarket in Canada, it was also collapsed, roof collapsed with 6 shoppers. 370 employees, fortunately, 21 were injured, but no one was killed. Now, there was also an inquiry team based on their investigation. They identified errors by the design engineer, including wrong assumption, wrong decision, wrong judgment, and miscalculation. The main errors were: number one, error in assumption, conception of building plan. Also in inappropriate site selection, decision and judgment or miscalculation that reduce factor of safety. No proper planning and designing by competent engineer. Not following proper code, standards and specification and customer requirements. No checking verification. No review by authorized competent engineer. There was error in dead load, live load estimation and calculation. There was error in beam specification, optimistic calculation of beam, strength and moment. Error in calculation of moment, bending moment, optimistic calculation of bending moment. No check and test of beam strength, column buckling strength. No lateral support preventing lateral buckling as long deep beams must be supported laterally and load must be reduced. Not following fundamental requirements such as stability, strength, and solidity while designing structure. These were the investigation team. Those who were investigated, the team found all these errors. And these two examples, from these we see that the safety primary cause of failure was the beam was under strength or imposed bending loads. Laterally unsupported lower compression flange of the beam buckled at the supporting column, and vertical beam column assembly likely bucked simultaneously. In both the cases, they have found that laterally supported lower compression flange of the beam buckled at the supporting column, and the vertical beam column buckled simultaneously. The investigation team highlighted that engineers had no training and knowledge of application of professional ethics, and that they have a duty to maintain high standard of service to the client and protection of public safety. I hope these two examples will clear something. And another example, the owner of land in England had hired a consultant for building design and construction supervision. The land was shallow and used for garbage. But after construction, over a period of time, the structure could not carry the weight of the building and collapsed. Now, after inquiry, it was found that the municipal inspector approved the foundation without inspection, relying on the client's report, consultant reports, and the consultant did not proper geotechnical survey, soil test, inspection of the construction work, and neglect to discover fatal flaws in soil, investigation, sinkhole, garbage dump soil. In fact, what happened? It was a land with garbage. Now then, landfill was there, but proper geotechnical survey was not done. No soil test, proper soil test. No, because as there was no soil test or geotechnical survey, so fatal flaws, sinkholes, these were not actually properly found. And that is why the designer designed and the inspector without inspection approved the foundation. And then what happened? The weight of the building could not carry. Structure could not carry the weight of the building and collapsed. So inspector of the municipal authority and the consultant held liable for not complying with the course regarding public safety, and the consultant did not consider genuine geotechnical information about the underlying soil. Geotechnical investigation were partial and inaccurate, and he did not uphold the safety of the building of the public. So what we learned there? We have learned there that if design engineer, he did not do his task properly, and the supervision engineer, he does not do his duty, then what happens? We see the structure failure. We see lot of structure failure. And then demonstrating the now and then number 3, demonstrating professional competence. As we have said earlier in our, as we have said, number 3. Now we are we have 8 principles. Now we are going to number 3 principles. Demonstrating professional competence. As I have already said, you have heard, in the demonstrating professional competence, that is virtue ethics. You must have your competence, your qualification properly. You cannot deceive anybody with your education, experience, qualification. You will have your education training require and your acceptance as assignment, etc. Scope of work. That means when you do any job, you must have your competence. And then 4, maintaining objectivity, truthfulness, non-deception. This also we have said in the virtue ethics, that you must maintain objectivity, truthfulness, non-deception. That, as we have said, you must not be deceived. And truthfulness, trustworthiness is the virtue. For any professional engineer, he must have these virtues. Engineer should endeavor to extend public knowledge, engineering, and sustainable development, and shall not participate in the dissemination of untrue, unfair, exaggerate statements regarding engineering. Engineers shall be objective, truthful in professional reports, statements, testimony. Engineer, when serving as expert witness, shall express an engineering opinion only when it is found adequate knowledge, and you must give honest opinion. Engineer shall issue no statements which is not true. He will issue all times true statements. Engineer shall dignified and modest in his work and merit. You will avoid any act tending to promote his own interest. You will always above all your interest. You will have high integrity, honor, and dignity of your profession. And then addressing the conflict of interest, faithful as an trustee. These also we have discussed in the trust in the your virtue ethics. These are all under virtue ethics. You must address the conflict of interest. Conflict of interest, a person finding a personal interest arising such that it may affect his impartiality. When there is any personal interest, it affects the impartiality. It affects the truthfulness. So you must address this conflict of interest. Appearance, avoid disclosure. Sometimes you will have to avoid this type of things, and you disclose anything which have any conflict of interest. Sometimes appearance, it may be suspicious, so you will have to check these things. Conflict of interest is a very important issue regarding our activities, because we may help somebody, we may help our friends. These will also arise conflict of interest. We may solicit, accept gratuities directly or indirectly from contractors and others. These also conflict of interest. And then confidentiality. We must be confidential. We must keep confidential information. We cannot. We uphold the honesty, truth, secret, data integrity, and we cannot misrepresent any data or information. We uphold trade secret, our data integrity. We cannot make misrepresentation of data information. Engineers shall not use confidential coming to them in the course of their assignment as a means of making personal profit. Engineers shall not use any confidential information passing to others, making personal profit. Engineers shall always disclose directly or indirectly to any other person, any public, private individual to whom he is authorized to communicate any document, any form of information which he has been entrusted to. He will not allow to disclose these things. A person can disclose and contents of any official document or communicate information which he has come into his position. He cannot do it to another official unless he has been given permission. Receiving and providing gifts and other valuable considerations. Accepting consideration from suppliers for specific product. Accepting commission, allowance, political contribution, corrupt practices, corruption, bribery, extortion, political influence, fraudulent, coercive practice, and theft. Awareness of all illegal practices. You must be aware of all illegal practices. No person shall offer any person related to engineering activities or procurement of work any gift received of which will place him under any form of official obligation to the donor of the gift. A person may give to any person related to engineering activities or procurement of work gift of small intrinsic value. In our country, the government has in the procurement policy said a gift cannot be exceed 500 taka. You cannot take any gift or any diary or something like this more than exceeding 500 taka. A person shall not offer to secure or promise or to secure for any person to any engineering activities or procurement. A person shall not approach any person related to engineering activities, foreign or visit, invitation to visit foreign country, etc. A person shall not lend money or borrow money. A person shall have to influence anybody for any work. A person shall not encourage anybody or praise for giving or commit for any work. Now, corrupt practice, how corrupt practices are done. Corrupt practices and corruption, bribery is done in public, private, development sectors. They are in some organization, they do the corrupt practice. Some organization personnel acting on the organization on behalf, they also do corruption, bribery practice. Some business associates acting on the organizations, also on behalf of the organization, they do the corrupt practice. And corruption of the organization. You see, by the organization, in the organization, of the organization. Always you find there are lot of organizations, they do right corrupt practice. Even in some organizations, there are corruptions. Organization personnel, they do corruptions. And in organization business associates, they also do corruptions. And bribe offered, accepted by third party. Corrupt practices also includes conflict of interest with employer, clients, friends, relations, business associates, or with public servant with whom he is dealing. At that time, and concealing such conflict of interest is unethical. As we say that any conflict of interest you must not conceal it. You should express it. You should declare it. And corrupt practice includes corruption, fraudulent, collusive or coercive practice. Fraudulent practice, deceitful practice, misrepresentation, intentional lie, collusive practice, harming, threatening to harm, and collusion with somebody and coercive practice, threatening to harm directly or indirectly to achieve some job, some prof, uh, procurement, etc. So that is important issue for our engineers. These corrupt practices, corruption, bribery, we must against. This is also our responsibility and duty. We must go against the corrupt practices, corruption, bribery, and other sorts of coercive practice, coercive practice. And now, finally, emerging areas, emerging challenges, emerging areas and emerging challenges. Now you see new technology, innovation, and use of internet, electronic practices. These three things are really important. Technology, use of internet and electronic practice, promoting and applying innovative emerging technology. These are mostly important. Technology is, what is technology? Technology is skills, methods, process that we use to achieve goals. Skills, tools, brainstorming, technology in the skills, methods, process used to achieve our goals, achieve our targets. We should to adopt. We should adopt. And we see that now these days, electronic, internet, texting, and roboting, these things we should use, learn new emerging technology, and also communicate with the stakeholders effectively. So engineers shall attain skills, methods, and processes by using innovative technology, use of internet, electronic practice. Engineers shall promote and apply appropriate new emerging technologies and engage in the creative and innovative development of engineering process, technology in design, development, solution for solving problems. Now, world is going faster. Technology is always developing. And greenhouse, green eco-building is also now, it is also our duty to use these creative artificial intelligence, creative design, robotics, 3D printing, self-healing concrete, thermal bridging, photovoltaic glaze, solar roadways, smart highways, predictive software, 3D modeling, modular construction, cloud collaboration, asset mapping, sustainable design, green building design, eco-floating homes, rainwater harvesting, plastic roads, greener asphalt, vertical farming, use of skylight, use of hollow block, use of high performance glass, use of solar panel, photovoltaic system, green roof system. That means now as our world is polluting, greenhouse effect is developing. So we must develop our knowledge and technology, how we can use this energy, this environment saving designs and others issues. And then sustainable development. Sustainable development means this should be sustained. Bangla we say teksui, and that means you use this as sustainable. That means you use resources efficiently, sustainably, properly, so that future generation they can use it, they can accept, because you cannot use all the resource and by আমরা যেটাকে বলি যে ইচ্ছা মতো by whatever you can use, but you should think that energies and resources are depleting, and we should not use more than what we require. That is another issue, and we should develop new technology and standards. We should follow the standards process, which includes design, develop, planning, design development planning, design development imports, design development controls, design development in, out changes. When we do any design, we first of all we have a good planning, design development planning, and then we see what inputs we require for design. Then we need to control it, check it, review it with the authorized, approved designer. Then, if any change, we should again uh, review it, and then finally approve it. Alternate project delivery. This is also another issue. This will save time and save money. Engineers shall apply integrated project delivery, building information modeling (BIM), and engineers shall apply engineering knowledge, specialist knowledge under universal knowledge. Universal knowledge, that is, when you do any design, you must use international universal knowledge, code and standards, such as International Building Code, British Standard, ASTM, NFPA, ISO. ISO standard is very much required now, because in the ISO standard, we find risk assessment, we find environmental issues, we find safety issues. There are standards ISO 9001 which teach us, from there we learn how we can manage the risk. And then in ISO 14001, we can learn how we can manage environmental pollution. And in ISO 45001, we can learn occupational safety. How can we manage occupational safety in designing and supervision of building structure and our project, and for solving our complex engineering problem. Engineers shall apply engineering knowledge, special knowledge, universal knowledge. And also engineers apply their own local knowledge, local codes, such as Bangladesh National Building Code, building construction rules, and local other acts and rules such as labor code, and environmental rules and acts, etc., for solving problems. And then we can cite our engineering ethics for engineers, what we have learned, what we have described. If we now go through our course, we shall see all these things are incorporated. Now, I think I have 5 to 10 minutes more for just I am citing from our code of ethics for engineers, so that we can understand that we have codes of ethics, but we do not follow it. We must follow this. Otherwise, we cannot be a ethical engineer. We cannot be a rational engineer. And we cannot do our duties, our responsibilities and obligations. If we want to fulfill our obligations, our duties ethically, we must follow this code of ethics. Code of ethics, we have 13 number. Number one, as a member of professional body, I shall uphold the uphold and advance the integrity, honor, and dignity of the engineering profession, using my knowledge and skill. By using knowledge and skill, I have already discussed this thing, that this is the first duty. It is my first foremost duty, that I shall uphold and advance the integrity, honor, and dignity of my engineering profession, using my knowledge and skill. Second part, number one has 3 parts. Part 1 shall uphold the advance, integrity, honor, and dignity of engineering profession, using my knowledge and skill. And then second one, engineer shall hold paramount the safety, health, welfare of the public in the performance of their professional duties. Now, in this case, sometimes you may be in a problem. You may be in a dilemma because in our Bangladesh, uh, we do not follow the rules of safety, health, and welfare sometimes. But as an engineer, you will have foremost duty. After your own profession duty, your own conscience, you will apply that you must obey the rules. What? The safety, regarding safety, health, and welfare, and perf- public interest, so that your work does not go against public interest. And then number, then third portion is try to comply with the principles of sustainable development, in the performance of professional duties. That means you will never do any harm to environment. You will take preventive action to control harms of environment. You will take cooperation and you will cooperate with each other to control the harms of environment, prevent environmental pollution and control. You will ensure equitable development of social development, environmental needs, and future needs to preserve natural resources, nature for benefit of future, and you will preserve the resources. Take precautionary measure for any threat of serious threat, environmental degradation, and then you will communicate to everybody. And another thing, we shall commit to keep environment clean, pollution free, and sustainable resource, and ensure sustainable environment, reducing and avoiding tragedy of the commons. When we do our work, we shall avoid the tragedy of the commons, such as pollution, air pollution, soil pollution, water pollution. These are the tragedies of commons. You see, the Buriganga water and others, different other rivers, you will find that the waters, these are tragedy of our common people. We cannot take water, we cannot drink water, we cannot even swim in this Buriganga water. So we should think about this, and then we should be honest, impartial, and serve with complete fidelity the public, employer, clients, and shall not accept remuneration for services rendered other than that from my employer or with my employer permission. This is also we have discussed in our in our deliberation, that we should have this type of virtues in the virtue ethics. These are also already discussed, and also we have said that we shall perform service only areas of competence. Already we said that we must service, we should have our discipline, education in our own discipline. We shall have skill in our discipline, and we shall perform service in our competence. And then we shall develop professional reputation on the merit of service and shall not compete unfairly with others. We shall act in professional matters for employer as client, faithful agent, trustee, and conflict of interest. We avoid conflict of interest, avoid deceptive acts. This is already discussed, and we find all these things in our code of ethics. Number 6, we shall issue public statements in objective and truthful manner. This also we have discussed, that we shall issue public statements in truthful manner, in objective manner. Number 7, without disclosing fact, we shall not be a director or any substantial financial interest in our project or in our activities. This also we have discussed, that we shall disclose whatever whatever conflict of interest. Then we shall support the professional technical societies of engineering discipline. This also we have discussed. This is also important issues. Number nine. Number nine. In connection with the work, if we go in the other countries, we shall abide by their country's rules, regulation. We shall not offer any guide, any solicit, receive, or indirectly or directly any amount to influence the award of contract by public authority. This also we have discussed. That means we shall not offer anything directly and indirectly for having a job or getting a contract. We shall avoid bribery, extortion in any form. Number 12, we shall continue my professional development throughout career, shall provide opportunities and support for the professional development of the engineers under supervision. This is also I have discussed in our virtue ethics and our principles of ethics. Number 13, a member who shall be convicted by competent authority, tribunal, he will be unfit to a member and shall be deemed to have been guilty of improper conduct. These 13 rules, 19 code of conduct we follow in our Institute of Engineers, Bangladesh, and we must obey all these things. We must follow these things. Otherwise, we shall not able to do our duty, ethics, responsibility, and obligation to our society, to our employer, and to our fellow stakeholders. We must be socially responsible to uphold ethical values of our society, and we must be responsible to maintain high standard professional quality and obligation to maintain high standard. We are obligated to maintain high standard of personal behavior in responsible manner. This also I have discussed. Now, actually, in fact, our we have about to we have come close to our time. Now, I would invite the participants, if they have any comments or question. What I feel that this is a big your topics, and I think I'm grateful to the your organizer, International Court Council, and the consultant, those who are working with this RAJUK engineers, and I feel this will be useful for them, and they should consider engineering ethics in their activities, and they should follow the code of ethics which we are providing from our Institute of Engineers. I'm also I am also feel privileged that you have given me the chance, and I got the chance for delivering this thing to our engineers. And I shall request them, if they feel anything, they can contact me, and I shall feel free to advise them regarding the practice of code of ethics. And for professional engineers, I shall try to help them to become a professional engineers, and they should comply all these things, because without safety issues, without complying these regulations, codes, there cannot be a good, safe, they cannot design safe design. They cannot do your good structure. As we are trying to have good structural engineers for RAJUK, they must comply with this code of ethics and your comply or promote and uphold the health, safety, welfare of the public, and the, also protect the environment as well. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
thank you. Okay, thank you, thank you.
Thanks,
Welcome.
everyone. Have a good
And
day.
greet all your team and especially to Dr. Ghosh.